The mystery of the Isdal Woman. Deep in the mist-shrouded mountains of Norway, there lies a valley that is said to be cursed, for it was there, on a cold November day in 1970, that a hiker stumbled upon a scene of horror that would haunt him for the rest of his days. The charred remains of a woman lay before him, her body twisted and contorted in a grotesque pose. The flames that had consumed her had been so intense that her features were unrecognizable, and her identity remained a mystery to this day. But there was something strange about this death that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard of it, for the woman had not simply died in a tragic accident or fallen victim to a random act of violence. No, there was something much darker at play here. Rumors began to circulate that the woman had been a witch, that she had dabbled in the dark arts and had paid the ultimate price for her blasphemy. Others whispered that she had been a spy caught up in the shadowy world of espionage and double-crossing. But the truth was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined, for the Isdal Woman had stumbled upon a terrible secret, one that threatened to shake the very foundations of the world as we know it, and those who had perpetrated this heinous crime would stop at nothing to ensure that their dark deeds remained hidden. For years, the mystery of the Isdal Woman remained unsolved, a chilling reminder of the evil that lurks in the shadows, and even now, decades later, whispers of her cursed valley still echo through the misty mountains, a warning to all who dare to delve too deeply into the secrets of the unknown. But there were those who refused to let the mystery of the Isdal Woman fade into obscurity. Amateur detectives and conspiracy theorists alike delved into the case, scouring every detail for clues to her identity and the reason behind her grisly death. Their efforts were met with frustration and danger at every turn. Some disappeared without a trace, their investigations cut short by unseen forces. Others were warned off by shadowy figures in dark suits, their lives threatened if they continued to pry into the secrets of the Isdal Woman. But still the search continued, and in the most unlikely of places, a breakthrough was finally made. A retired detective living a quiet life in a small town stumbled across a clue that had eluded all others. It was a small piece of evidence, a detail so seemingly insignificant that it had been overlooked by everyone else. But to this detective it was the missing piece of the puzzle, and so with renewed vigor, he set out to unravel the mystery of the Isdal Woman once and for all. But as he delved deeper into the case, he realized that he was not the only one seeking the truth. Dark forces were gathering, and they would stop at nothing to ensure that their secrets remained hidden forever. In a final, desperate attempt to uncover the truth, the detective journeyed back to the cursed valley where it all began. And there, in the shadow of the mist-shrouded mountains, he faced the terrible truth behind the Isdal Woman's death. For the woman had indeed stumbled upon a terrible secret, one that threatened to destroy the very fabric of society, and those who had silenced her had done so in the name of protecting that secret. But now the truth was out, and as the dawn broke over the cursed valley, the detective knew that the world would never be the same again. For the Isdal Woman had become more than just a mystery. She had become a symbol of the darkness that lurks within us all, a reminder of the terrible things we are capable of when we let our fears and secrets consume us. The organized crime connection. The streets were dark and cold that November night when the Isdal Woman stumbled into town. She was a stranger to this place, with no friends or family to turn to, but she had something far more valuable than any of that, a bag full of cash. Rumors had swirled for years about the organized crime syndicates that controlled the city. They were ruthless and powerful, with connections that reached all the way to the highest levels of government. At first, she had been grateful for their help. They had given her a new identity, a place to stay, and a job that paid well. But as time went on, she began to realize the true cost of their help. The money came with strings attached, and the Isdal Woman soon found herself caught up in a world of corruption and violence that she could never have imagined. But she was no ordinary victim, for the Isdal Woman was smart, resourceful, and determined to break free from the grip of the organized crime syndicates that controlled her life. And so she began to gather evidence, collecting information that could bring down the very people who had enslaved her. But they were watching her every move, and when they realized what she was up to, they knew they had to act fast. In the shadow of the Isdalen Valley, they caught up with her. They took her to a deserted spot, removed her fingerprints, and burned her beyond recognition, and then they disappeared back into the night, leaving no trace of their crime behind. For years, the Isdal Woman remained a mystery. Her true identity and her killers unknown. But rumors persisted that the organized crime syndicates had been involved, that they had silenced the one person who could have brought them down. And even now, as the years have turned to decades, the Isdal Woman's legacy lives on. Her story is a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows, waiting to ensnare the unwary and the unwary. For the organized crime syndicates are still out there, still powerful, still controlling the streets with an iron grip, and those who dare to challenge them do so at their syndicate. But there are those who refuse to be intimidated. They are the ones who continue to fight against the corruption and violence that has taken root in their city. They are the ones who keep the memory of the Isdal Woman alive, seeking justice for her and for all those who have been victimized by the organized crime syndicates. And as they dig deeper into the shadows, they begin to uncover the secrets that the Isdal Woman was so desperate to reveal. They discover the names of the people who had enslaved her, the money that had changed hands, the lies that had been told to cover it all up. But as they draw closer to the truth, they also draw closer to danger, for the organized crime syndicates will do anything to protect their power and their secrets, and they will stop at nothing to silence those who threaten them. The streets of the city are no longer safe for those who seek justice, and as the darkness falls once again, the sounds of footsteps echo through the alleyways, a warning to those who would challenge the power of the organized crime syndicates. For the Isdal Woman's legacy lives on, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows and the courage it takes to stand up to them. The spy theory. In the murky world of espionage, nothing is ever as it seems, and so it was with the Isdal Woman, whose true identity remained shrouded in mystery and intrigue long after her death. Rumors had swirled for years that the woman had been a spy, sent on a deadly mission to gather information that could change the course of history. And as the evidence began to mount, it seemed that those rumors were more than just idle speculation. For the Isdal Woman had altered her appearance with cosmetic surgery, a common tactic used by intelligence agencies to create new identities for their agents. She spoke several languages fluently, a skill that would have been invaluable for someone working in the world of espionage. And perhaps most tellingly, she had a large collection of fake passports, each bearing a different name and nationality. But what was her mission, and who had sent her on it? The truth was more shocking than anyone could have imagined. For the Isdal Woman had been tasked with uncovering a secret so terrible that it threatened to tear the world apart. But she had failed in her mission, and now those who had sent her were determined to erase all traces of her existence. They had pursued her relentlessly, tracking her every move as she tried to flee their grasp. And finally, in the shadow of the Isdalen Valley, they had caught up with her. But even in death, the Isdal Woman held secrets that could not be allowed to see the light of day. And so her body was mutilated and burned, her features twisted beyond recognition. The message was clear. Anyone who dared to cross these shadowy forces would suffer a similar fate. For years, the mystery of the Isdal Woman remained unsolved, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of our world. And even now, as the years have turned to decades, the truth remains elusive. But one thing is certain: the Isdal Woman was no ordinary victim. She was a pawn in a deadly game of espionage, a sacrifice made in the name of protecting secrets that were deemed too dangerous to be exposed. And as the shadows lengthen and the night falls, we are left to wonder what other secrets lie hidden in the darkness, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek them out. Some say that the Isdal Woman's mission was linked to the Cold War, a time when tensions between East and West were at their highest. Others believe that her target was something even more sinister, a secret so terrible that it could threaten the very fabric of society. And yet, despite the countless theories and investigations, the truth remains elusive. The files are still classified, the secrets still hidden away in the depths of some far-off intelligence agency. But there are those who refuse to give up the search. They continue to delve into the shadows, seeking out clues and piecing together the fragments of the Isdal Woman's shattered life. And perhaps someday, the truth will finally be revealed. But until then, we are left with nothing but speculation and conjecture, haunted by the memory of the Isdal Woman and the secrets she carried to her grave. The victim of a serial killer. The city was in the grip of fear. A serial killer was on the loose, stalking the streets and preying on the innocent. The police were powerless to stop him, as he left no clues behind, no evidence to follow. And every night, the people of the city huddled in their homes, praying that they wouldn't be his next victim. It was in this climate of fear that the Isdal Woman arrived in town. She was a stranger with no family or friends, and no one knew her name. But she was beautiful, with long dark hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through you. At first, she seemed like any other person trying to make a new life in the city. She found a job, rented a small apartment, and went about her business. But there was something different about her, something that set her apart from everyone else. And then, one day, she disappeared. It was weeks before anyone noticed that she was missing, and even then no one could find a trace of her. The police searched high and low, but there was no sign of the Isdal Woman. Until one day, when a hiker stumbled upon her remains in the Isdalen Valley. Her body was burned beyond recognition, her clothing cut into tiny pieces, and her belongings marked with strange symbols that no one could decipher. The police were baffled. Was this the work of the serial killer who had been terrorizing the city? Or was it something else, something even more sinister? As the investigation continued, the police began to uncover a web of secrets and lies that seemed to lead straight to the heart of the city. There were rumors of a powerful organization that controlled everything from the police to the government to the media. And there were whispers of a serial killer who had been operating in the shadows for years, taking the lives of the most vulnerable and leaving no trace behind. The Isdal Woman had stumbled into this web, a victim of circumstance, a pawn in a game that was far beyond her control. And as the investigation continued, the police realized that they were dealing with something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. For the serial killer was still out there, still preying on the innocent, still leaving no clues behind. And the people of the city knew that they could never be truly safe as long as he remained at large. The Isdal Woman's story became a cautionary tale, a warning of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. And as the darkness fell once again, the people of the city huddled in their homes, praying that they wouldn't be the next victim of the serial killer who had claimed the life of the Isdal Woman. But even in death, the Isdal Woman's story was not over. As the police delved deeper into the case, they uncovered more and more evidence that pointed to a vast conspiracy, one that reached far beyond the city and into the highest levels of power. They discovered that the Isdal Woman had been a spy, working for a foreign government that was determined to infiltrate the city's government and military. She had been sent to gather information, to learn the secrets of the city and report back to her handlers. But somewhere along the way things had gone wrong. The Isdal Woman had been discovered, and her handlers had decided that she was too much of a liability to be allowed to live. They had sent the serial killer to eliminate her, to ensure that their secrets remained safe. The police were horrified by what they had uncovered. They had always suspected that there were dark forces at work in the city, but they had never imagined anything like this. And as they continued to investigate, they realized that they were putting their own lives at risk. For the organization that had sent the Isdal Woman was powerful, with tentacles that reach into every corner of the city, and they would stop at nothing to protect their secrets, even if it meant killing anyone who got in their way. The police knew that they had to act quickly, before more innocent lives were lost. They gathered all of the evidence they had collected and presented it to the public, hoping that it would be enough to bring the organization to justice. But the response was not what they had expected. The public was afraid of the power that the organization wielded, and they refused to speak out. And so the case of the Isdal Woman remained unsolved, a mystery that would haunt the city for years to come. As the years passed, the people of the city learned to live with the fear. They learned to look over their shoulders, to be constantly vigilant, to never let their guard down. And the legend of the Isdal Woman lived on, a symbol of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of their seemingly peaceful city.